we're going to learn how to enter in doors only. So if you have a job that you just need to do some refacing or need some MDF doors, this is how you would use Cabinet Parts Pro's version 9 to enter only doors. So the first step that we're going to use is go into the cabinet type, where prior videos show how to select a cabinet type for a wall cabinet, base cabinet, and able to set all the associated settings that apply to each one of those cabinets. We also have one last item down here that's called extra part. This is if you only need a particular part of a cabinet, not the whole cabinet itself. If you need a right side, you could select the right side. If you need a left, top, bottom, and so on. We have a option here for doors. So if we want to add and make a door that is 30 inches wide or high in the X direction and 12 in the Y, you would just enter those in, entering in the quantity, selecting add, then calculate and nest. This now gives us two doors laid out with offsets applied for us to be able to use for the tool pathing. So here we have a shaker style door, so both of them are being associated with a pocketing cut. Tool path it with a cut, waste, and so forth. There's videos specifically on how to create the cutting code and tool pathing using Part Nester. But let's go ahead and back up a few steps and look at how the offsets were created and what's really happening here. There is another video specifically on how to create and set up MDF doors and create all those offsets. But just to quickly show a YouTube video, MDF doors found on the Cabinet Parts Pro channel. Basically what we are doing here is using profiled cutters, as we are seeing here, to create a profile using a on the line or on the vector toolpath, to where there is not an offset to the left or the right. The center of the bit is following exactly on the line that we have drawn. So there is a layout here, a couple bits with some offsets that we have recorded as far as depths and offsets. So you could go ahead and watch specifically that video to get a more detailed version on how to set up a door style, but we will show you a couple of the door styles that we have here and go ahead and enter in a new style just so we could see how it's done. So I'm just going to go ahead and hit new so we could clear our list, going into tools, settings, and we'll show first how I set up that extra part to have the door style that I want. So going underneath of the settings, wall cabinet, the extra part, this is where we say what type of door style do we want to have applied. As we just saw, we had shaker doors applied to both, but if I wanted to have a raised panel, we could simply go and select that. And the offsets, the rectangular offsets, are going to be different than they were for a shaker door. The shaker door did have a couple offsetted lines there, and that is to possibly use a smaller diameter cutter to get a sharper inside corner. Then you could use the other vector to do a pocketing to clear out the majority of the door. So the door styles, once we have that set up, the next time we enter in extra part and set up for a door and select a door, these offsets are going to be applied. Those offsets are found underneath of the doors setup button. Selecting from this drop down, we have the raised panel. So if we look here, we are going to get 1, 2, 3 separate vectors that are going to be offset. One is to the outside, that would be for the edge profile. Then we have a couple inside profiles that are being offset. So let's go ahead and enter in a couple doors in door only and see how the offsets are applied here. So again, we'll just enter in the same exact styles, go ahead and calculate nest. And in this instance, we are going to see that those offsetted lines are a little bit farther apart, and we also have a vector offset to the outside to allow for a profile cut around the outside. So we have the layer names on edge, and in this case, we have the option, and it's your option to name them whatever you want to name them. But in this case, the edge really isn't the edge, so bad naming on my part for that, because it's also including the edge and the inside rail profile. Then we also have an RP, raised panel bit, that would be on the inside. But that edge is easily enough changed. We could go ahead and close that. Just go ahead and new. If we wanted to clean up the layer naming there a little bit, we could do so just by going into the settings, selecting extra. And actually, we don't even have to do that because we're only modifying the style and not what style is applied to that cabinet. So we are still modifying and still going to be using the RP door style. So just going here to door setup, selecting what we want there, and we could call this AB inside. Once we save that, we'll close and close the settings. Now remember from previous videos, if you already have data in this cabinet list, the data is not going to get changed, or anything in there is not going to get changed based on the settings. So if we already had doors entered here, the change that we just made would not be applied. So going ahead and enter in 2 more of those, calculate nest. And we can now see that we have the outside edge, the inside, which we just renamed, and then the raised panel. We will go ahead and select in toolpath, just the same as we would the cabinet parts. And again, there's other videos on that as well. So the idea of entering in cabinets would be doors only. We only have the length and the width of each door. So entering in more than one, or continuing to enter in, we might need some that are 14 7/8. We'll say we need 4 of those. And enter, when you hit enter, that adds it to the list automatically and kind of shifts the text box over to be ready to key in more information. Just the enter key moves from cell to cell, and then the last enter key when you're on the quantity will then just add that to the list and start over again. So that makes it a little quicker to add cabinets to the list. So say we needed another one that's 14, say, for a cabinet, 30-inch cabinet for above a wall or a microwave or whatever it is. Let's just say we need 2 of those. Add that to the list, and now we have a total of 8 cabinets. We could just calculate nest, and we're going to get the layout for all 8 of those doors. And again, just toolpath it, and off we go. Hopefully that was a useful video for you. Enjoy. Have a good day.